No. Somebody will do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and join with me in our salute to our flag and country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please remain standing for our prayer, please? Thank you.
Gracious and loving God, as we gather this evening, we pause to acknowledge your presence in us and among us. In this time before Christmas, a time of waiting and preparation, we're reminded of hope, peace, joy, and love that you bring into our lives. May each of these guide our hearts and our work tonight. May your light, which is brighter than all of the Christmas lights combined in the flats, shine through all those who are present tonight, both in person and online. Bless and protect our city and help us all to be helpers. We pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. We open up our City of Guthrie Public City Council meeting of December 3rd. Second item on the agenda is public comments. We have two. I have spoken to both of the applicants and explained them that we're going to do a little bit different in that we're also going to have a summary by the city manager of what the city is doing. Both issues are the water bill issue, so I would ask Tammy and Chad Pearson, whichever one of you would like to succinctly identify what your concern is, and then we will, well, go ahead. Identify yourself. Yes. Yes, sir.
I'm Chad Pearson, and that's my wife Tammy, and we just moved here 5 months ago, and we love Guthrie. We had a great time at the parade, and then Sunday we were looking at the water bill to pay it, and we realized that we were owing $800 some and said that we had used 47,229 gallons of water, and so that took us off guard, you know. And but as we looked at it, we started to realize what the lady who I spoke to yesterday, I called up here about it, and she told me, she said, "Oh, it looks like you haven't been charged for the water you've been using." Well, like I said, we moved here in June, and we had already kind of figured that out looking at all the bills, because it said 1,049 gallons, 1,049 gallons for July, August, then September, 1,049 October, 1,049. So we went out and looked at our meter, and it said, well, then it said 48,278, I believe. My numbers are really weird here. But we looked at it and it said 49,073, so we subtracted that from what it said on the bill. Well, I did, and it said 795 that we had used in 15 days, which goes to about $53 a day. So what I'm concerned about is, like I said, we've only been there 5 months, so I subtracted I did calculations with the 48,278. Since we've been there for 5 months, well, if you calculate the 47,000 gallons, it comes down to we would be using 9,445 a month, then 2,361 a week, and 337 a day. That's a lot of gallons in one day. And like I said, when we went out there and subtracted what it said on the meter the beginning of this month, according to you, and what it said on the meter that day, which was 15 days from the day of the reading from you, it was 15 days, and that comes out to $53. That's the only thing we were concerned about, is how it would be calculated. Because like I said, I talked to the lady, and she said, we'll have to do some calculations. So I haven't heard from her, but I guess I'm going to hear from you guys tonight. So.
Mr. Pearson, I appreciate your input, yes, there is going to be an update
Okay.
shortly.
Okay.
So appreciate that. And again, council, myself, city manager are all available afterwards if you want more definitive, or anytime, if you want more definitive situation. We have got an issue. We are trying to deal with it. We want to be fair to the citizens
Yes.
of Guthrie. So
Right.
we are taking care of it. I'm going a little bit off script because technically,
Right.
as you know, in the public comments, we listen to the comments and don't respond. We're going to do a little bit differently this evening. But again, appreciate your involvement, your input, and we are listening. We are listening.
I
Okay?
understand.
Thank
I
you.
very much appreciate
Thank you.
that.
And Tommy, I think you asked to also say a few words. Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Tommy Wagman. We moved into our house also 6 months ago. And same thing, the water bill said the same meter reading, 1,029, 1,029, whatever. And then once the equipment was fixed, it jumped up. So I called the manufacturer and asked how that could happen. So when that satellite unit is down, it is not registering what's on that meter. I don't know if the satellite unit was down for a year, 2 years, 5 years. We don't know. I don't know if y'all do. But the minute it comes up, that meter base at your house is still storing that information and it dumps it to that computer. So it makes it look like you used 40,000, 50,000, our case 98,000 gallons. You can imagine the shock when we got a $1,568 water bill. That's why we dug into it. I would like to apologize for all the stuff on Facebook. All I put on there was, I got a $1,500 water bill and it blew up, so it's not on me, sorry.
Well, again, certainly appreciate your situation. The city is doing things to correct that, and I'm going a little bit off of our normal process here because I think it's appropriate for the city manager to respond to what the city is doing and the direction that we are going to make all of this correct. So thank you for your input.
While y'all are doing that, when you get ready to release this, is there any way you're gonna be able to tell us how you're gonna figure out what we used and what the prior tenants used?
I think
That's
that
gonna
will
be the
be
hardest
in,
part.
I think that will be in some of the response that you'll be hearing shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your input. As I've identified, normal process is we listen in public comment, we listen as a council and as an administration, but we don't respond. We appreciate your input. We're gonna do it a little bit differently tonight because I think it's important that we have all the facts of what the city is doing and the direction that we are going to correct the situation. There is a problem and it is being corrected. I'd like to turn it over to the city manager then for an update on where we are headed, what we have done, and what we are doing to correct the situation.
If we could, Mayor, if you'll actually skip ahead and go to item number
10.
10.
Yeah.
Is it 11?
No,
Item
10.
10.
City manager
10, I'm
report.
sorry. I would like to move to number 10 on our agenda, which is the city manager report. So I will come back to item number 3 after the city manager report. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, Mayor.
City manager report.
Yes, Mayor and Council. In lieu of a traditional report tonight, you'll notice I emailed you out a list of all the events and things going on this morning. The intent behind that was so that you got your traditional city manager's report, and then we would have an opportunity to respond tonight. First, to reassure you and the community that we are well aware of the issue. We're working as fast as we can to get up to speed and to make some corrections. So I want to give you a quick update. First, I want to remind the community that our staff is doing everything that they can to get up to speed and get in front of this issue. It's something that came to our attention first thing yesterday, and we've been working literally around the clock to make sure that one, that we've identified all of the residents who have been impacted by this issue. 2, that we're making sure that one, nobody is billed, there's no disconnections, there's no penalties or late fees added to any bills. So that's our first priority. Our second priority was to move to the issue at hand, and I want to give you a brief history and a recap of how we got here. So if you'll recall, in June of 2024, the base station on the east side of town went down. It was a catastrophic failure, which that base station is located on the east side tower, and it takes the meter readings via antenna from the meters and reports back to City Hall. That information is then automatically updated into our system, okay? That went down June 19th, 2024. June 21st, we received a quote from our manufacturer to replace that base station. June 26th, Kim and myself sat down to talk about the cost of the base station, and we put it on the next council agenda, which was July 2nd, 2024. We brought that item to you. We received unanimous approval to move forward. At the time, the question was asked, are we going to notify the residents who may be impacted by this base station being down? My response at the time was, no, we're not, because we didn't know, one, how long the base station was going to be down. Two, we didn't have a solution at that time to send out to the residents. It could have been 30 days, it could have been 6 months, it could have been 9 months. We had hoped it was going to be quicker, and it turned out to not be that way. So we received, again, we received approval to purchase the base station on July 2nd, 2024. The base station arrived in November. So it's been put in place and is operable as of November 14th. So what happened when that base station went down, we have an option in our system that automatically estimates or averages the water usage for the customers in which the system is not receiving a meter reading for. That's what took place for approximately 700 customers over the last 6 months. Now, of those 700 customers, we've had issues with about 150 of them. That's what we've released to the public, and that's the information we had at the time in which we released the statement yesterday morning. I will tell you, when the new base station came online and updated all of the current meter readings into the system, that process is automated. Okay, we've got 3,700 utility bills that go out, and when I say utility bills, that's a combination of water, sewer, trash, or any of the three alone. So those utility bills, they're generated and they're mailed out. We don't necessarily see each of those bills before they go out, okay? So for those of our residents who received an extraordinary high bill, again, I would encourage them to reach out to the utility office. It's not uncommon for an issue to happen where a meter has sent in a wrong read, or we've had an issue in the past where somebody's got a leaky toilet or a leak in their house that they're not aware of. And when we get notified of that, oftentimes we notify the residents. And the problem in this case is when that base station was down, none of those features were working, okay? So since that new base station's been in place, the billing went out. In the meantime, all of those reads and the bills got updated to the highest usage. So when we're estimating, it takes the last 6 months of usage and it averages out their water consumption for their estimated bills. What I can tell you here, what we've learned in this process and what we know for the future is that communication is key. And where we've had a failure is communicating with the residents. Looking back now, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. I would have preferred to have gone back and sent out a communication to all of our utility customers, letting them know that we had an issue and that we were estimating the bills. Didn't want to do that at the time without a solution. I never want to bring you a problem without a solution. However, I know now for the future that when there is an issue of this caliber, we will be bringing it forward. So something that staff has been working on since Monday is isolating the number of meters and customers who have been impacted by this. Some of the quick solutions we've done: no December disconnections, no penalties, no late fees will be added to any of the utility bills impacted. And then any of those utility customers who were impacted, their bill will be reverted to what they paid in November. So as long as they pay what they paid in November, we will keep them current. None of those other issues will take place. As we've been isolating the ones who have been impacted, beginning tomorrow, just to reassure that the base station is working correctly, that the meters are reading correctly, and that we're getting good data, accurate information into our system. Tenny's crew, the Public Works team, will be going out and field verifying each of those meters, making sure that the correct meter reading that has come into our system is what the meter reflects. We'll also verify that the meter identification number is correct. And we'll also, lastly, we'll identify the MXU identification number, which is essentially the computer on the meter that transmit that information. We anticipate that'll take us 2 or 3 days to gather that information. And by the time we get that all gathered, get back to City Hall with that information, cross-check it, take a look at what we need to do from that point forward, then we'll be able to say, okay, we've double, triple verified the information, we know what's happened, and we can look at solutions. At this point, this issue is relatively new. It started on Monday, and we've been doing everything we can to catch up and get in front of it. Until we have field verified all of that information and I have good, solid, accurate data for you, I don't have any further solutions at this time. But it is something that our staff is working around the clock to make sure is the number one priority. And I also want to express to the community, if you have an issue, please reach out to us. Please let us know. We can't correct issues that we don't know exist. And I can promise you that our team is here to help. I'm here to help. Kim is here to help. Tammy's here to help. Any of us that you know and that you're used to working with, we're happy to listen and we're happy to take it serious because it is serious. So with that, Mayor, I'll be happy to entertain any questions from the council.
Any questions from council?
Your Honor, do you want to go to item 11? I would ask for unanimous consent to go to item 11 so that we can ask questions.
Well, as part of our normal process, we can ask questions, but
I mean, there's generally not any questions on the city manager's report.
no.
And it
There's-
doesn't say, but
Okay.
it does say request comments from the council if we go to item 11.
Okay, I will continue in the sequence then of moving towards to agenda item number 11, which is comments from members of the city council in order to ask questions of the city manager for what he has presented. Are there any questions?
So I have a question. So on what Tommy brought up, I mean, anything's possible, but have we uncovered anything, any kind of data at this point where a meter like his had stored 6 or 8 months or a year's worth of data? I mean, this thing's only been down since June, right? Mm-hmm. Are we gonna be able to verify that these particular meters have been operable prior to that?
Yeah, so the good thing is the meters themselves have been reading the entire time, okay? So the information we have in the system, we have good, solid, hard reads from prior to the base station going down. That last good read was in May. So we can compare that information to what we have now. So for example, if you were a customer using on average 2,000 gallons of water, and during the summer months, you used 3,000 gallons of water, but you were billed for 2,000 gallons of water, then we know the difference is that 1,000 gallons. So what we're gonna do by going into the field is taking that manual read, confirming it with what's in the system today, and ensuring that those two things match, and then we'll compare with what's been billed over the last 6 months.
I had a question. When we knew that the base station went down, I mean, in the past, we actually did physical meter read. I mean, people went out. Did we think about actually going, I mean, it's 750 customers. I realize that we no longer have meter readers and that would, but did we consider that option so that we wouldn't be estimating and then I have a follow-up question after that, but I don't want to ask a double-barreled question.
Yep, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. If you'll remember, up until recently, we've had 13 vacant positions at Public Works. And for most of the summer, we've gone from water leak to water leak. And so it is something that we've considered. It is something that we didn't have the manpower to take on at that time. In the future, as we've made recent adjustments to the Public Works Department, for example, the pay plan adjustments, we've been able to fill several of those vacant positions just within the last couple of weeks. So for the future, that is something we will go to first rather than using the estimate.
So, and then my follow-up is, when when we discover that there is a variance, is there a flag in our system? I mean, it seems to me that this would be easy if it's not already a report that can be generated to write something. I'm gonna guess that this is sort of a unique system, that it's not just a, like QuickBooks, right? So, is there a way to flag variances
Absolutely.
in the system so that we notify people when there is a huge variance in the system before they get a $2,000?
Or at least it's flagged
That's
to
how they
us for
flag
us to
the,
see.
Right.
that's how they flag the leaks in the system.
Right, okay.
Yes, we do have a indicator, and it does flag the system. However, that piece of our software hasn't been working properly with the base station being down. So with the base station being down and coming back up, we haven't run a report on that. We have, since we've had this issue, and we are back up and running now, but we weren't previously. So
What
we
is
have the
the-
capability, yes.
What is the level? Would it be like 20, if anything's like 20% higher than it normally is, or what do you think?
We can read the consumption on that meter by the hour, so.
Nice. Okay. And is, just to reiterate kind of like on Brian's question with the answer, so like in Tommy's situation, sorry to call you out, Tommy, where he kind of looks at the number and then divides it up in the months, and it still seems higher on average. That's what you're talking about, where it's going to try to calculate what happened prior to him taking the property, correct?
Yeah, so with Tommy specifically, we'll take care of that, and each customer will individually take care of. But we'll use Tommy's example. We have hard read information from May, when he moved in, and then we have read information from the previous tenant who had started in October of '23. And then we take that information and we compare it with what's there today.
Compared to what's there now, right?
And I will agree, and staff agrees, that the consumption is extraordinarily high in comparison to his usual consumption. So that is something that we are aware of. It is something we're working through. I can tell you that Tenny himself went out to Tommy's place today and verified the meter reading, as well as the MXU and the MIU number, the meter identification number. So all of those things we put eyes on this afternoon, and it is something we are working through.
Then what's the policy that we have when we discover that there's a huge variance in the meter reading? What do we do in that instance?
So there's several cases. I'll tell you, the base stations, the meters, 99% of the time it's accurate. We do have a process in place, so when there's a variance, we'll take that meter out, we'll test it and make sure that, one, that the meter's reading correctly. And if the meter's reading correctly, then we know that we have a problem in the system. Oftentimes there's a cross-talking issue that takes place, or one of the antennas, or call it the MXU, which is the transmitter from the meter to the station. Sometimes those numbers can get mixed up. So once that happens, we take a look at surrounding properties, and we try to identify where could this issue have taken place. At that point, once we've vetted the process, then we go back and say, okay, here's what's happened. If it's not the meter, it's essentially a process of elimination. If it's not the meter, it could be the MXU. If it's not the MXU, then we'll place a new meter and a new unit until we get what we need. So that's our standard.
And then at some point, if there's a leak either after the meter in their system.
Yep.
And if that's the case and they correct the leak, what do we do on those bills? What's our policy regarding those that somebody's got a leak that is filling up a swimming pool, basically?
Yes, so residents who have verified that they have a leak, they've had a plumber come out, and they can provide us a receipt, show us that they've had a plumber come out and correct the leak. We make adjustments to their water bill for the sewer portion of the charge on their bill, okay? So the water still went through the meter, still used the water. I understand they have a leak, but what we typically do, is we'll eliminate the sewer portion of the charges from that bill, and then we work out payment plans. If there's an exorbitant amount, work out a payment plan for that option, or we make adjustments. And it's a case-by-case basis. Sometimes a $20 adjustment is easier to do than a $5,000 adjustment. And our policy has those bounds in place.
Just for clarification, we have how many total billing customers in the system?
Approximately 3,700.
3,700. And right now, we have identified approximately 150 that are impacted by this failure of this automated system.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. And also, I think I heard you say that the billing for this month will be the same as the billing for last month.
That's correct. So the bill they received in November for their October usage consumption is what will be required to be paid by the December 15th due date.
No one gets shut off.
Nobody's getting shut off. No disconnections, no penalties, no late fees.
And then I had a
Go ahead.
question for our city attorney on this. In contract law, there's something called detrimental reliance. And could they have an argument for detrimental reliance and that they materially changed their position, you know, vis-à-vis what we, you know, I mean, they would have budgeted if they'd known.
I think two separate issues. Issue one would be on back, if we're trying to back bill them for those other bills, I think that's a potential. I think going forward, which is where I think we're trying to address, going forward, we're now giving them notice that the issue's been corrected. If the water readings are correct, I don't think we have any detrimental reliance issue.
But I mean, the failure was on our part. And so I think on those back bills, you have a detrimental reliance argument that they could make.
I don't want to get into, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I don't think that that's where we're trying to go. If I understand right, we're trying to look at a solution going forward. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yes. Yes.
I think this council, once we have the data, is gonna make the right decision for the public, period.
Yeah, I
So-
think we clearly want no harm. The public shouldn't pay for water that they didn't use.
Well-
They should pay for water that they did use, and somehow we've got to figure out the data that will reliably tell us that. My question is, of the 150, have we made contact with them already?
We've made contact with several. I won't tell you that we've made contact with all of them. I can tell you everybody in the office has been working on this issue, and we've tried to take it as deep of a dive as we can. So that's why I'd encourage everybody who's got an issue, make sure you reach out to us. You know, we've got it on our radar. If we haven't contacted you, please take that opportunity to reach out to us and get you on the list.
And can I clarify one thing, Mayor? I don't think there's any conversation that if the numbers are wrong, that that's not going to be adjusted. So the question was brought up, are we going to bill them for water they didn't use? And I think the black and white answer to that question is no.
Absolutely
I
not.
think the question that the city is trying to take time and look at is actual water usage, is how to address that issue.
Yes, yes. and
But the
so-
city picks up the tab if they didn't use it.
So I guess,
So
then
we're-
along with my detrimental reliance question, I guess, are we going to see an item on the agenda a potential item on the agenda next council to address the failure in what I view as being a gap in policy that doesn't cover the issue?
Yes, if we cannot handle this administratively with a policy that's already in place, I am fully prepared to bring you something at your second meeting in December, which is why we've taken the immediate steps for reverting the bills back to November, so that we have time, because the December cutoff is December 15th. So that's our due date, right? So reverting those bills back to November gave us time to get out into the field verify, cross-check the information, make sure it's all accurate in the system, and then bring you reliable information second meeting in December. If it's something we can handle internally within our current policy, we intend to handle it administratively and take care of it just as we would and as we do every day. It has never been the city's intent, nor will it ever be, so long as I am here, that we would ever charge a customer for water they didn't use. That's not what we do here, nor will it ever be. However, I can't tell you what the solution is yet when we haven't completely identified the problem. So that's what I'm asking for tonight is we have a talented team in place, and our team cares very deeply about this community. Not only do they care about the community, they care about their jobs. And they've taken it seriously, and we're working through it. So that's what I'm asking for. Again, I'm not trying to cut off any questions. I just want to reiterate that it is something we take serious, We're not gonna be billing anybody for water they didn't use, and we will do everything in our power to make this right.
I do have a question about customers who have direct automatic payments to the city. For these customers who were impacted, how will their bills be adjusted?
That is something Kim and I discussed when reverting to the November bills. So I believe, Kim, if you want to answer on that, I believe that that will not be impacted, but Kim, if you want to give us a
Yeah,
response.
I mean, I'll have to go through each one and just identify them and make sure that we make the appropriate changes before we actually draft their bills.
So
Yeah.
the bill, to follow up on hers, has not I mean, there hasn't been an electronic funds transfer already
No.
sent through.
A file's been created, we can go in and amend it before it gets sent to the bank.
So it's not an automatic debit that happens?
Correct, correct.
Any other questions from the council?
I would just like to thank the residents who have brought this to our attention, and also just thank our staff who've been working really hard to try to address this.
And again, before we move on, I'd like to speak directly to the residents and say, we are here for you, we hear you, and our door is open anytime. You're welcome to come to City Hall anytime you'd like. My cell phone number's on my business card. We'll take your call, we'll visit with you anytime we can, and I hope that you walk away with at least that confidence in your municipal government. So, thank you.
Right. No other questions? Then we will revert to our standard sequence for the meeting, which back to item number 3 on our agenda, which is the consent agenda. Agenda items A and B. A is the approval of the city council minutes of November 19th, and B is the approval to pay $48,712.50 to Myers Engineering for Owens Field softball facility upgrade.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Submit your votes, please. Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to approve consent agenda items A and B. Item number 4 is items removed from the consent agenda, of which there were none. Item number 5 is the Oklahoma District Attorney Council's 2024 Justice Assistance Grant. Chief, good news.
Yes.
It's always good news with the
Yeah.
chief.
We were awarded this grant for $10,000. We would like to use it to purchase refurbished laptops for some of the vehicles that you've been giving us. It's really the only, there's no official match on it, but for us to get 7 laptops, I think we ask to spend an extra $500 out of our budgeted funds to cover that, so we can get 7 instead of 6.
Okay. Any questions of Chief?
Thank you to you and your staff for working on that grant. Has the city purchased refurbished units from that supplier before?
Yes, we purchase refurbished units quite often. Several years ago, we were given many units from OG&E, and we spent the last several years trying to build them up and keep them going. And we just finally reached a part where it was costing us more to try to keep them going than it was to replace them. And we are actually getting a pretty good lifespan out of the refurbished ones versus the new ones. Because it's just like anything else you buy new, as soon as you walk out the store with it, it depreciates. So we think we actually get a better bargain with the refurbished ones and we don't see any real detriment to them.
So you've been happy with the refurbished ones we've
Yes.
gotten from the supplier
Yes,
before?
we've been happy. I think we've been doing it for about 18, maybe 24 months now. We've been very happy with the product and the quality that we get from them.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, is this an annual grant award process, or is it a one-time thing?
It's a one-time thing. It comes up annually, but sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. We've had pretty good luck at getting it, but no guarantees.
Well, congratulations. I think that's more than luck. I think it's a
7.
lot of hard work.
7.
Thank you.
So I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes, please. See the votes. Unanimous approval and to accept the grant for $10,000 from the Oklahoma Department, or District Attorney's Council for the purchase of 7 refurbished computers. Item number 6 is bid for replacement of West Side booster stations. Tenny?
Yes, Mayor, Council, staff published in Guthrie News Leader on October 30th and November 6th to solicit bids for bid number 2024-12 for our West Side booster station replacement and upgrades. Bids were received and read out loud on November 19th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the council chambers. We had 6 bids that were received. Bateco was our lowest and best bid. Bateco came in at $641,229. For record, for the additional 5 bids, we had B&B Industries came in at $796,400.02. Quicksilver Utility Contracting was at $796,900. County Contracting, $883,361. C4L LLC was $1,048,614, and Howard Construction at $1,159,820. Myers Engineering as well as staff have reviewed the bids and would recommend awarding bid to Bateco for the replacement of our West Side booster station and upgrades.
Questions from council?
Yes, for the sake of those listening, this booster station does what?
So there's a line coming from this booster station that runs down Southwest 19th over to our Job Corps tower, provides water directly to that tower, which then in returns provides additional pressure to a pressure zone in our distribution system, as well as will improve the constant flow for fire protection. So a good example would be, hopefully never happens, if the hospital was to, we have a fire, say at the hospital, this automatically, we now have the additional pumps in this booster station that would automatically ramp up and provide that additional flow that is needed for our engines for additional water flow. Would be some of the biggest improvements that it provides.
One more question. How old is the present station you're replacing?
Currently, I don't have an exact date, but I know it's our oldest one. It does not have the telemetry to provide the ability for us to automatically ramp those pumps up. Our fire, from what I've been told, I've never seen that the fire pump that's in there work. It's a manual. You have to go flip the switch and hope that there's flow enough, meaning it's more of a event type situation to where you kick it on and the fire engines are sitting there able to flow it, because if you kick it on and you don't have that going on, from past experience, my understanding, it blows up pipes out in the distribution because you don't have that telemetry that can control and ramp those pumps up as needed to the flow as the demand is out there on the system.
Did we already secure the funding on this? I don't remember if we did or not.
That's where I was headed with that.
Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, just wanted to throw in, not to take away from Tenny, but this is one of our CIP number 2 projects. So remember, we've got the 2 water tower rehab options that you'll see really soon. And then in addition to those 2 water towers was the replacement of this booster pump station.
Okay, I thought so.
And just to, again, add to what Tenny had already shared, the 2 5-horse pumps that are in there are gonna be replaced with 3 pumps that have the capacity of up to 1,500 gallons per minute, whereas the 2 5-horse pumps that are there now are about 360 gallons a minute. So we're making some significant upgrade to the equipment that's in place.
I would think this stuff is probably 50 years old, if not older.
I don't know how old it is.
And maybe 60 or 70 years old. That's our problem, folks. We We're gonna have to spend money to fix a lot of this stuff, and
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to
Yeah, we-
approve
yeah.
because we've already
I just
set
think it's
this in
something
our
to be done.
CIP funding.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second, is there any more discussion? I have just one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have an approximate timetable for the booster to be received and installed?
Once we get the bid approval to be awarded, we'll then set up a pre-work with the actual contractor to see what their schedule is and know a whole lot more
Okay.
after that.
So we haven't got
Pre-work
that far
meetings.
yet?
Yeah, we have not, until
Okay.
we get approval from council to actually award the project to the
Okay.
contractor.
All right, we have a motion and a second, submit the bids, folks. See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move forward with bid number 2024-12 for the procurement from Baitco Company for the booster station replacement and upgrade. Item number 7, purchase of building kit for the Parks Department. Tenny, I guess you're still there.
Yes, Mayor. The funds for this item are from our remaining FY 2024 salary balance of last year from vacant positions. The total price for the building kit is $46,000. We did receive, or reached out and got 3 bids from, one from OK Steel out of Guthrie, Oklahoma, a local vendor at $46,000. Railroad Yard out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, $46,000, and then we reached out to J&I Manufacturing out of Madill, Oklahoma, and they provided a no bid. This building kit is a bolt-up building kit, and the building kits all come from the same manufacturer whenever you reach out to these companies, so they all are ordering from the same manufacturer for these kits. That's why you see the $46,000, and we chose our local
How
vendor
big is that building,
in
out of
Guthrie.
curiosity?
30 by 100, I think.
30 by
is what-
100.
Okay.
Where are you gonna put this at?
It will go in between our 2 existing equipment sheds to store equipment, and as well house, one bay will be for our Parks Department, which has not really had a facility since they were, since the city has chose to sell the Parks building downtown. They were housed out of that building. They've been kind of operating now, a little bit out of the armory, a little bit out of the cemetery building, some out of the Public Works facility, storing equipment all over the place. So some out on Prairie Grove Road at the Blue House. This will give them a kind of a home, so.
I was gonna say, that'd be a great idea. Put that together.
Okay,
Well, thanks,
other
Tim.
questions from council?
Just a statement. This has been discussed for years, your need for this. And I can imagine, obviously, how time-saving it would be to have all in one location. Going from one area to the next has got to drain time. And then you forget this over there, and you got to go back over there, so I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
One
Yeah.
answer.
Clearly enhance the efficiency and obviously protect equipment that is fairly expensive equipment.
Yes, Mayor.
Very expensive.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Submit your vote, please. See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve the purchase of a building kit for the Parks Department for $46,000 from OK Steel. Item number 8, ties along with this, construction of the building kit for the Parks Department. Tenny?
Yes, Mayor. Again, these funds are coming from the same funding source from the FY 2024 salary balance from vacant positions from last year's budget. The total price to install the building or to erect the building, we did get, reached out to 3 companies again. MLB Construction out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. Local vendor again, $80,635 was our lowest bid. K-Jack Construction out of Coyle, Oklahoma came in at $84,036, and J&I Manufacturing out of Madill, again, provided a no bid. Staff would ask to move forward with our local vendor, MLB, with the low bid of $80,635.
Quick question, are they insulating this as well?
Yes, this will be full concrete floor insulation in the entire building with 4 overhead doors for each bay.
Motion to approve.
Another question? Another question from the council? Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Last opportunity for questions. Submit your bid. Your vote. You can submit a bid too if you want, but submit your vote first. Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval then to go forward with the construction of the building kit for a cost of $80,635 to MLB Construction. Item number 9 is the use of a standard form agreement between the City of Guthrie and CH Guernsey and Company for associated with the construction of the Guthrie Fire and EMS Station number 2. Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this agreement is consistent with what you considered and approved with GH2 construction for architecture services for the Highland Park Pool. This contract is with CH Guernsey to do architecture services for the second fire and EMS station. At this time, this is a working draft. We would ask that no terms are going to change from what you've seen in the past. No terms will change with what you've got in your packet. However, I would ask that you approve this pending approval as to form by the city attorney and our outside counsel who has worked with us on these contract drafts. So again, this is consistent with what you've seen in the past with GH2, and we recommend approval. Just as a side note, I will say we were able to close on the fire station property yesterday. So we're one step further. We do already have the construction management team in place, Crossland Construction. So this is the last step in getting that design done and getting that building constructed. So.
Okay. Any
So
questions of council?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Last opportunity. Submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval and to move forward with the standard form agreement with a contract with the City of Guthrie and the Guernsey Company, CH Guernsey and Company for the construction of the Guthrie Fire and EMS Station pending review of our attorney and outside counsel. And item number 10, did you have any other comments that you'd like to make?
Nothing else at this time.
Okay. Item number 11 is comments from City Council. Vice Mayor Geary.
None, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Mills?
Yes, we have a lot of great Christmas events going on in Guthrie, so I encourage you guys to check those out. You can find information on city Facebook page, I believe, Guthrie news page, lots of sources. So, love Christmas in Guthrie.
Councilman Rock?
Again, I just want to say again, we don't want to do it all over again, but just sorry for this water issue. And I believe city staff, as well as everybody on council, wants to do what's best for the citizens, and we're going to do that. And that's all I have.
Councilman Williams?
Passing by the flats every morning when it's still dark, I'm just impressed with the lights and everybody that was involved in that. Thank you for their efforts and volunteers. It's really settled, peaceful to go by there and see that.
Good. Councilman Taylor?
I want to thank the staff for what you all have done. I appreciate what you've done, Chief. It's hard to get all that stuff done. I talk to some of the guys down at the Capitol every now and then, and that's what they tell me. It's one of those tough deals, so you're doing great on it. I appreciate it. Thanks, Tenny, for getting the water pump up and running. And Mayor, I enjoyed you talking the other night at the Christmas parade. That was fun.
Well, it was great fun.
Yeah,
Great
a
fun.
lot of people there, and if you haven't been to that, you guys need to go next year. It's outstanding. We've got, I think, the walk's coming up this next week, and the week after, we've got some homes to go look at. That's gonna be fun too. So we're moving forward. Guthrie's stepping up.
Councilman Bothright?
Yeah, I echo Councilman Ropp on the water issue. I mean, if it comes back to us, we will, or I will, as one vote, do the right thing, and I'm sure everyone else will as well. And on Kaylee's deal, on the Christmas, we went and saw Scrooge at the Pollard the other night, and it was just awesome. I'm serious. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, you should. It was kind of a full weekend. We did that. We attended a wedding at Adam Ropp's venue down there, which was just as, I mean, that was awesome as well.
Thank you.
So there's a lot to do, and just you got to just get out and do it. That's it. Oh, one last thing. There is, for those that are interested, all 3 wards and mayor position is open. Time frame ends tomorrow at 5 o'clock. If you want to run a campaign, it's your opportunity.
Got to declare candidacy at the
Election office.
election office by close of business tomorrow
Yep.
for those 4 positions. Well, this past week and these next 2 weeks, we will identify yet again the reason why most people call Guthrie the Christmas capital of Oklahoma. The Territorial Christmas parades that we had was absolutely awesome. Crowds were there. The floats were fabulous. Lighted floats were fabulous. The Gatlin brothers at the Scottish Rite Temple was a fabulous kickoff. And again, the shows at the Pollard, the home tours, and the 2 walks the next 2 weekends. It's just going to be spectacular and really show us off and bring in an awful lot of tourists to our community. And they see how great we are, because we are. We do have some vacancies. Again, part of my normal script to you all at this time. We still have vacancies at the Board of Adjustment, at Library, Historic Preservation, and I think at Planning. Yes. We still have one at Planning. So if you are so inclined to be more engaged with the community, there's some opportunity. Go to the website, City of Guthrie website, and it will identify how to go ahead and apply for those, as well as identify, and with more specifics, what each of those boards or commissions do. We also have an opportunity. I'd like to make a pitch for Wreaths Across America, which is a national program that's been going on for a few years, with a target of putting a wreath on the headstone of every veteran in every cemetery in this country. And we have here at our Summit View Cemetery a number of veterans who are buried out there, I believe over 1,000. And our target through the junior ROTC, who's heading it up, is to have a wreath placed at each one of those veterans' grave sites on December 14th, Saturday the 14th. At 1 o'clock, there'll be a program, and then the laying of the wreaths at all of those, or as many of the wreaths as they have, at veteran headstones. They're looking for volunteers to come out and help. They're looking at also people to purchase wreaths for a specific veteran or for any veteran who is buried out there. I think it's $17. And go to Wreaths Across America website, and it will direct you on how to purchase or how to volunteer. I think a great tribute to men and women who have served and died and are buried here in Summit View. So please go to that website. Please be a part of this. It'll be obviously an annual tradition, a great thing to do, again, to honor those men and women who have served us. So with that, I will adjourn our council meeting, and I'll get to the right page here. Open our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting of December 3rd. Second item on the agenda is consent agenda items A through D. A is the approval of the Public Works Authority minutes of November 19th. B is the acknowledgement of the receipt from the DEQ for monies for the booster pump and 3 additional smaller booster pumps. C is the confirmation of city council action awarding bid to Baitco for the $641,229 for those that replacement and upgrade of that west side booster station. And D is to confirm city council action approving a standard form agreement between the city and C.H. Guernsey and Company in connection with the construction of the Guthrie Fire and EMS Station.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Have a motion? Was there a second?
Yes.
Motion and a second. Any other questions, discussion? Submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval of consent agenda items A through D. Item number 3 is items to be removed from the consent agenda. There were none. And that being the last item on our agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we're adjourned for the evening. Thank you very much.